It's time to cover another release in the fantastic world of everyone's favorite Italian plumber. Super Mario World is remembered for a lot of things. It was the first Mario game in the 16-bit universe. It was one of the launch titles for the Super Motherfucking Nintendo. And it was one of the first appearances of Mario's sidekick Yoshi. Over time, it's become a lot of fellow gamers' favorite, including me. Being 25 years old already, which makes me feel old as shit, how does Mario's awesome adventure on the Super Motherfucking Nintendo fare? Let's find out. Rewinding time back to 1990. I was 9 years old, give or take. By this time in my gaming chronology, I'd already been playing arcade games for years. And we'd been obsessing over the original NES since its release in 1985. What a great start to the decade, huh? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was in full effect, as was New Kids on the Block. The Simpsons began airing, and things were ramping up in the Middle East. Oh, and Ice Ice Baby was awesome! If you were a gamer back then, and you read Electronic Gaming Monthly or Nintendo Power, you knew something big was coming. We'd seen previews in the magazines, we'd seen commercials on TV, and then there was the always reliable and true word of mouth. So, the Super Motherfucking Nintendo dropped on our shores in 1991, little less than a year after Japan. There were several games that were launch titles with it. Pilot Wings, the original F-Zero, which I've already reviewed, Gradius 3, another favorite series of mine, and of course, Super Mario World. Being the first Mario game in 16-bit, standards were set pretty fucking high, even though most of us were only in the 4th or 5th grade at the time. The plot is simplistic enough. It's pretty much the same in every Mario game. Duh! Mario and Luigi take a vacation to a place called Dinosaur Land. And what's wrong with taking a vacation in fucking Jurassic Park, right? What could happen? Princess Toadstool disappears, big surprise. So the bumbling brothers set off to find her. It turns out the evil Koopas have imprisoned her in an egg, and so, that means Bowser is back to his shenanigans again. You arrive on the first world, Yoshi's Island. No, that's just the name, it doesn't have anything to do with the sequel to this game. The familiar overworld map returns from Super Mario Bros. 3, but as soon as you select the first level, everything changes. The complete overhaul of the entire graphics we had been used to blew us away. Gone were the blocky, simple colored characters and enemies from previous games, and in its place were highly detailed, fluid, and incredible looking sprites and characters. This was a huge, exciting new world to run around in, and that was just the beginning. You move around on the world map, selecting stages as you go. Now these are comprised of standard levels, underwater levels, ghost houses making their first appearance, mini castles, and even boss castles. Each world has its own theme, much like Super Mario Bros. 3, and thus each world has its own specific enemies, obstacles, and environments. The first couple of levels are to let the player get used to the new controls, and how things have changed since the 8-bit days. Besides the usual actions, Mario can now do a spin jump, flying around like a nutcase, and it's useful for breaking blocks from above. The usual power-ups also return like the Super Mushroom and Fire Flower, but now they've been joined by the Cape Feather, one of the best power-ups in any game ever. It basically takes the place of the Leaf from Super Mario Bros. 3, and once again, allows Mario to soar into the heavens. The only difference now is that unlike Raccoon Mario, once you're aloft as Cape Mario, you can pretty much stay aloft as long as you want. Granted, you know how to rock the D-pad good enough. Cape Mario in combination with the spin jump, or just spinning in general, can also take out enemies, or make blocks flip around in circles. Lastly, besides slowing your descent if need be, if you're flying with it and push the D-pad all the way forward, you'll turn into a dive-bombing psycho and smash into the ground, disrupting all the enemies in the vicinity. Speaking of enemies, there's classics and a whole new slew of baddies. Even on the first Holy shit! Obviously, Koopas are here, but strangely, Goombas were relegated to very small appearances. Not given much attention at all. There's Boos, found in ghost houses, Charging Chucks, Big Sumo Koopas, and Dino Rhinos. Most are fun, but some can get annoying, like the fucking flying fish. Oh. And Pokey appears too! Super Mario Bros. 2 for the win! While traversing the levels, you'll notice other new additions, like this blue box up at the top. This is your backup item box. If you're already powered up and grab, say, another mushroom, it goes up there, and is stored for when you need it. Particularly on tougher boss castles. There are now progress markers, usually appearing halfway through any level. By touching this pole, not only will you restart from that point should you die, but if you're little, it'll give you a free super mushroom. This also marks the first appearance of the gold Yoshi coins. By collecting 5 per stage, you gain a 1-up. Sweet and simple. Yoshi? How could I not talk about him? Everyone knows Mario's favorite sidekick by this point. But way back in the early 90s, and indeed, the Mario series till that point, this was the first time Yoshi was included and playable. Miyamoto has said that he wanted Yoshi included in Super Mario Bros. 3, but were not able to because of technical limitations at the time. But he literally makes the entire game. I mean, don't get me wrong, would the game still be a blast without Yoshi? Sure it would. It's Super Motherfucking Mario World on the Super Motherfucking Nintendo. But including him does take the game even higher. There's your standard Yoshi. He's green. But he has other siblings as well that come in blue, yellow, and red. Besides the standard green one, the other Yoshis have specific powers when you eat something with them. The red one will always spit fireballs, the yellow one will ground stomp all over the place, and the blue one will grow wings. The green can do all of those powers, but it depends on which color turtle shell you grab. Also, you're not allowed to take Yoshi with you into ghost houses or castles, which, you know, isn't that big of a deal, but after a few worlds, you do get kinda sad having to leave him behind in order to get business done. Speaking of ghost houses and castles, they're a lot of fun. Well, to a certain extent. I usually find ghost houses the more enjoyable of the two, simply because, well, ghosts are cool. They usually contain alternate paths to the goal, and depending on which goal route you take, it'll lead to other secrets or shortcuts. Oh, goals. Silly me. At the end of every normal level, sans a boss castle, there's a goal line that goes up and down. Where you hit it depending on height grants you a certain number of stars. Once you have 100 stars, you get to go to a bonus stage. Yes, it is possible to hit the goal at the very top, earning you not only 50 stars, the maximum, but also a 3-up. Bonus. Back to the bosses. Each of the 7 Koopalings represents the boss fights, and they're stupidly easy. Seriously. This is one of those games where the stage leading up to the boss fight is harder than the actual boss fight. It's your basic jump on their head 3 times and they're defeated, exactly like Super Mario Bros. 3. As you progress, you'll notice these blocks that are empty, and are only represented by a broken outline. These are special blocks, and are only restored by finding the hidden switch palaces in the world. There are 4 overall, and while they're not necessary for game completion, they allow you access to different areas if you're going for a 100% completion. Plus, in order to get them to appear, you get to shove the hidden key into the keyhole, and you get to hear the big zoom sucked into the keyhole sound! The game is not without its faults, though. Because there's fucking auto-scrolling levels! Yeah, it's a Mario game, so at this point in the series, there's no getting away from it. I normally just try to make it through them as fast as I can. One of the last elements are secrets. This game is littered with them. From secret exits to stages, to secret locations on the world map, to the Star Road. What's the Star Road? Spread throughout the world are 5 locations which can be accessed via a secret exit. These create a small star icon which warps Mario to said place. Here are a total of 5 levels, which when completed correctly, allow the player to access the Special World. These are 8 levels that will challenge the player like never before, has kick-ass background music, and sports stage names that will live forever. Names like Gnarly, Tubular, and Funky. Gnarly, bitch! Anyways, completing this final world returns you to the overworld, but things have changed. Colors are different, and some enemies are altered, like the jumping piranha plants are now pumpkin heads. Don't ask me the point or purpose of this. I've tried to figure it out for 20 years to no avail. The soundtrack is a total classic, with many remixed pieces of music showing up, and newer ones as well. Koji Kondo delivers on almost every track, and now that I think about it, I don't think there's a single piece of music I dislike in the game. You journey through each different world, including Donut Plains, the Underground Vanilla Dome, Forest of Illusion, and finally, Valley of Bowser. Once you get to the final castle, you have a decent length of time to make your way through Bowser's fortress, before you face off against the bastard himself. Unfortunately, there's no lava or hammer to help you this time. However, you do have these little toys that Bowser throws down at you, and you just throw them back up. I know I'm not the only one who thinks the smiley face propeller ship is fucking awesome! If you pay close attention, it cries a single tear whenever you hit Bowser. 3 rounds of vertical tennis, and Bowser falls to oblivion. The princess is rescued, and all is well in Dino World. It's been quite a journey, no? Super Mario World really hit a note with gamers and the industry as a whole. As previously mentioned, it was a launch title for the Super Motherfucking Nintendo, and a lot was riding on Nintendo and company's ability to transition to the newer platform, while still keeping what we all loved about the series so far. They delivered, and they delivered tenfold. Everyone played this game back in the day. We played it so much that, I don't know, we knew everything about every level. And every secret. And yeah. It won a lot of the highest awards from publications back in the day, and is still rated at one of the top video games of all time. Not just on the Super Motherfucking Nintendo. From the action, to the gameplay, graphics, sound effects, worlds, power-ups, everything is golden. If you've never played this game, either you're 10 years old or you've been living under a rock for the last 2 decades. Either way, you're missing out on one of the greatest classics from the 16-bit era. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, go check it out. And we'd been obsessing over the original NES since its release in 1985.